This production is sponsored by The Good Estate Agent. With an average turnaround time of 3 weeks, if you want your house sold quickly, then contact Stefan today on 01942 356 577. Quote Super League Raw for 33% off. Well, good afternoon, and we are live. That's right, we're live this afternoon. Good afternoon, Steph.
Good afternoon, everyone okay?
Very well indeed. Well, we've put this out live today, and we're also sharing this. It's on open view, so that people can see behind the paywall here at the membership of Super League Raw. We believe that this is the best pre-game show that you're going to find online on a Thursday, and we hope that you agree with us. By the end of the show, maybe you'll want to become a member, and you might want to just scan that QR code up there on the left-hand side, become a member of the fastest growing community in Rugby League, and me and Steph are going to now walk you through all of the pre-game talking points, pick out some key battles for everything that's on the way in round number 6. Before we get started though, Steph, obviously a couple of things knocking around. First and foremost, since we were together on Tuesday, the Ashes. The Ashes are coming. Great news for the sport.
Yeah, brilliant. Someone said it's 20 years since the last Ashes series. I don't know if that's right, but
you know what, mate?
Yeah.
I bet you can't be far off.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's one of those, it brings back that nostalgia, doesn't it, of growing up. And, I remember watching the games at Wembley with my granddad back in the day. So yeah, no, it's brilliant for the sport. Hopefully it'll bring the sport into focus nationally. We get the publicity it deserves. And it should be a fantastic series and some great venues as well. I don't know if Wembley's a bit too big. I maybe would have gone for Tottenham if it was available for that one. I think that's a fantastic stadium. But great, it's going to be at Everton. That could be a potential grand final venue when Old Trafford's being worked on and stuff. So it's interesting to see that. And then I think the final one's Headingley, is it?
It is indeed. 30,000, mate. 30,000 have already registered for the pre-sale.
Brilliant.
That's great to hear, and that can only grow. And of course, here at Super League Raw, we will probably be giving away some tickets for the Ashes series as well. So keep your eyes peeled there. Of course, they'll be for members only. We've said this year that we're only going to be doing prize draws for our members. It's only right and appropriate that they're rewarded for their loyalty and support. So great stuff. And of course, we've got to go there. We'll, I don't really want to dwell on it when we get to the game, but more rumours around Salford. It's crazy what's going on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And obviously it's a bit of a rinse repeat in terms of the news articles that are being written. It's getting boring, isn't it, to be honest with you? I think everybody just wants it resolved one way or another. And hopefully, especially for the Salford fans, I know Matt's watching live now, it does get resolved, because it's just this state of limbo, and it just leaves that uneasy feeling for everyone involved in the game in terms of what's going to happen and stuff. But yeah, for the Salford fans and for the sport as a whole, hopefully something gets sorted. But I'm hearing mid-April before the next update's going to be, which is
somewhere over the rainbow, isn't it? But anyway, we won't dwell on that, because of course we like to celebrate the sport of rugby league here on Super League Raw. Like I say, you're getting a glimpse behind the paywall here in terms of the captain's run. Obviously, we also have Round Unpacked on a Monday as well. That is again exclusively only for the members. So let's crack on. Let's show everybody what they're missing on a Thursday. Just one of the many benefits of Super League Raw membership. Get yourself over to our website, www.superleagueraw.com, for all the information that you need on joining the fastest growing community in rugby league. Right, we're going to kick off tonight with this little beauty, Steph. Castleford Tigers taking on the very, very impressive Hull FC. In Super League history, very, very close between these two sides. 29-27 in the favour of FC. There's been 3 draws in there as well over the years. The last 3 meetings, though, better viewing for Castleford Tigers fans. 3-2 in the favour of them. Of course, last season, Castleford doing the double over FC in what was, let's be fair, a very poor season by their standards. The form guide, well, I mean, just a 1 win this season for the Castleford Tigers against Salford. As for Hull FC, with the exception of that loss to Wigan, they have been punching well above what everybody thought their weight was this year. Tries, only 2 in it, 14-12, very close on tackle efficiency, better kicking coming the way of the Castleford Tigers. And again, when it comes to penalties, pretty close. I mean, it's a very different FC, isn't it, to the one that Castleford faced last year. Of course, in there as well was the pre-season game where Hull FC beat them 16-10 for the Joe Westerman testimonial before the start of the season. I know you've been impressed with FC, Steph.
Yeah, absolutely. I think most people would be very impressed with FC in terms of what they've done, and this is another opportunity for them to cement that. This is probably the first game where they've got a bit of pressure on them in terms of expecting to win. So it'd be interesting to see how they navigate that situation. I've just had a quick look on the weather app, and it looks like it's going to be a tad drier.
It could be wetter.
No, it can't be wetter. No, so it'll be interesting to see how the jungle pitches held up from that monsoon they had against Catalan. So that could be an interesting factor, whether the pitch has dried out or not for this one. But yeah, it's not based on Castleford's performance against Catalan. It's not looking good for them, is it? But you never know. It's games like this that sometimes throw out the most surprising results. But
yeah,
be interesting to see how Hull FC treat this one.
It will. It'd be very interesting indeed. And of course, what we're going to do now is, which we always do, we do the work for you on Captain's Run so that you don't have to. All you've got to do is tune in for an hour every Thursday and we build up for the games as best we possibly can. What we're going to do now is we're going to check on both camps. We're going to have a look at what Danny McGuire had to say about the acquisition of Brad Singleton last week. And also we're going to hear from the very impressive Mr. John Cartwright. Here we go.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, we've been for a middle for a while, and you know, we've had lots of conversations, lots of things have happened and not quite unfolded like we want it to. And obviously with the Salford situation, you know, I actually felt, you know, I feel bad really. I feel bad for their situation. Nobody wants to see it, but Singo became available and obviously played with him, know him really well. He's a good friend, wanted to come and be part of what we're trying to do. Again, it happened pretty quick. It made it easier. I think it obviously also made it easier that he was outside their sort of restricted salary cap as well. So he wasn't going to potentially play for a while. And Singo's, you know, he's no spring chicken now. He's getting to the back end, and you know, he wants to play. He needs to play, and you know, I think he's going to be good value to us with his leadership, his experience, and everything he brings. He knows his job. He knows his role. He doesn't complicate things, and I feel like we've needed somebody like that, you know, really steady and really professional, and he's going to be a good addition to the team.
I couldn't pick one out for you. I think that it's just been a genuine team effort, not only players, all the staff, new owners, you know, Richie. It's been a total team effort to get to the point that where we're at, but you know, the hard work's only really just begun. I think any side on their day can beat anyone, to be honest with you. So it's more about us going there, being prepared for what they're going to throw at us, and just mentally us being on our game. Like, you know, I thought we were a little bit off on the weekend, and we probably were against Huddersfield as well. Just little lapses in concentration during periods of the game, and just lost a bit of intensity, which sort of let the opposition back into the game. So we'd like to get a game where we can start fast and really put pressure on an opposition and hang on to it for the whole 80 minutes.
So that's the aim, try and set your stall out early.
Yeah, it has been every week. You know, it can't always be like you want it, but as long as you're hanging in on the scoreboard and defensively you just keep turning up for each other, it keeps you in the game. And you know, we've been lucky enough to be able to score some tries at the back end of the game to get us home.
Possibly second if things go your way. How does that sound?
Yeah, like I honestly don't think about it. It's if it was the last game of the year, I'd be over the moon. But it's round 6, is it? I think I said 4, but I think it's round 6. So we're not even a quarter way through the season. So no, I'm not looking there at all.
What number round can I start chucking those questions?
Yeah, 27.
27.
With every passing week, Steph, you're getting more and more impressed by John Cartwright, the way he's understated, very assured in what he's saying. I thought the way he deflected that, you know, you could finish the round second was genius.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been excellent, especially from a media point of view. And I think he you can tell he's experienced. He knows what the right things to say are, and I'm sure he's a very calming influence and not letting Hull get too ahead of themselves. Excuse me. It's very easy for clubs to get excited, especially when they've been in a position like Hull have been in for the last few years. This recent form to get excited, but I'm sure he'll be focusing on the next challenge ahead, which is obviously Castleford away today.
Absolutely, yeah. Tonight, of course, live on Sky, not on Sky on Super League Plus. That's a bonus. That's a step in the right direction. But yeah, it could be an interesting. I mean, when Danny Maguire was talking about the acquisition of Brad Singleton, he went on to talk about Silver as well. And he also said in his press conference last week that they are monitoring the situation at Salford. I mean, a lot of rumour over Nene McDonald and where he could maybe turn up. Could that be the Castleford Tigers? Of course, Leigh distancing themselves from Nene since that news story broke. But differentiates in sport go. I mean, he said in his when I watched that press conference, and he said, he's a good friend of mine. Does that work in business?
It can do. You'd like to think that he'll give everything for Danny and be also someone who's going to champion him as the coach. When there's maybe some voices going against him, kind of thing. So maybe that's the reason, as an experienced player, he's brought him in. But yeah, it can work for you. It can work against you, and hopefully it works out for him at Castleford.
Yeah, well, we will wait and we will see. Well, let's take a look at the squads. Here they come. They are the two squad lists. We took a really quick look at this on Weekly. You can see there. I mean, it doesn't get much stronger for the Castleford Tigers than the squad that he's managed to pick for this game. It really does lack depth and quality, doesn't it? That Castleford squad.
Yeah, it's like you said, there's no excuses about injured players or anything, is there really? For Castleford, with looking at that squad, it's pretty much full strength for them, which is great. And obviously they'll be looking to put in a really good performance tonight. But one thing's for sure, if it goes the wrong way and they have another result like they had against Catalan, then their fan base is rightly going to be asking questions about their recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that goes in the slight favour of Castleford potentially is that we know that Hull FC have had 3 yellows in five rounds. And of course that never helps any team. But it is 3rd against 11th. There's been a gulf between these two sides this year, and I think that's highlighted, mate, by Innes Senior. Innes Senior, last year we were waxing lyrical, and rightly so. Senior is a quality player, and he's banged in 3 this season thus far. 2, thus far for the Tigers this year. But then on the flip side of that, Lewis Martin. Lewis Martin this year, it's senior-esque. I mean, the way he started the season, real quality, great performance against Wigan, of course, in the cup. He's joint 3rd in the league for tries scored. He scored himself 4 in Super League, 7 including the Challenge Cup. I mean, Lewis Martin has been a revelation, hasn't he, this year? He's really matured well.
Yeah, really burst on the scene, and not unlike what Innes Senior's done in previous season, in terms of probably going under the radar a little bit and then just announcing yourself onto Super League, and that's what Martin's done. He's been absolutely outstanding the first 6 rounds, and he's definitely going to be a big threat for Hull FC. Will he match up against? I think they're on the opposite sides, aren't they?
They're on opposite sides.
They're opposite sides, which is a shame because it'd be interesting if they'd have matched up. Obviously, Harvey Barron would have been against Senior, so it's a bit of a shame we've not got that matchup, because I think Barron's been outstanding as well in the games he's played. 2 exceptional young wingers that they've got there at Hull FC, and future bodes well for them in those positions going forward as well.
Absolutely. And, a big surprise when Cade Cuss was announced in the Hull FC squad. Nobody expected that. And he's marked as 50-50 potentially to play this game. Of course, shocking news for Jed Cartwright, who started the season really strongly for Hull FC. He's going to be out for probably quite a while, a tore hamstring. No exact word yet on how severe that is. But that's a massive blow for FC. Another blow in the same position for Castleford is, and you'll see it there, no Simbikin again. Simbikin, for me, if there are any real positives for Castleford thus far this season, other than that win against Salford, it's probably Jeremiah Simbikin, isn't it?
It has, and Fletcher Rooney as well, of course, and both injured, which again is concerning, because I think those 2 have been outstanding for Castleford in a team that's not been outstanding. So yeah, it's going to be a big loss for them. And obviously Cartwright has been fantastic at Hull FC, obviously playing for his dad, a bit like the Lachlan Lamb and Adrian Lamb situation at Leigh. So yeah, he's been great, and he'll be a miss for them definitely tonight.
100%. Well, as we do here on Captain's Run, I try and get into a bit of detail for you, ladies and gentlemen. Try and pick out some interesting stats and something to consider going into each game. And for me, the concern I've got for Castleford is right here, down the middle. Tigers up against, of course, FC. It's an interesting one. I mean, it is an interesting one. I mean, you look at it there, not an awful lot in it in terms of defensive structures. What's quite surprising, though, is the busts element of it. And this is unbelievable. I mean, when you consider Herman SA of those 8.6 average per game. So what I've done here is I've looked at who do I think the front row interchanges are going to be, and I've ploughed all the stats together since the start of the season, and I've averaged them out per game. So what we're seeing here is the averages. So when you consider like the likes of Lawler, Singleton, they may operate Westerman in the front row, Griffin, Akuro and Nemo for the Castleford Tigers. And then, of course, we've got SASA, Ashworth, Watts, Knight, Fash and Salabio for Hull FC. They're the ones at the moment that they seem to be using in those areas. So I've just mashed them all together for you to see how the two compare. And like I say, tackling-wise, efficiency-wise, very, very similar. I think something like 5.5 of the 8.6 busts of Hull FC is Herman SASA. That just tells you everything that you need to know about the beast that is the Hermanator. Incredible stuff. Breaks, again, you don't really class these guys as breaks, but it's in that carries and meters. That's where it's at for me. Look at the difference in terms of punching power down the middle. And for me, we saw this in the grind at Catalan at Castleford last week, where they really did win that middle battle. Pangai Jr., on the score sheet, very, very similar, albeit not quite as good as Big Herman. But for me, Steph, if there's one area where I wince as a Tigers fan, it's that 324 metres. If they're going to average an extra 124 metres over Castleford tonight, that's going to be what does the damage that then allows for me, Hull FC, to win this quite comfortably.
Yeah, and it's the reason why Caesar has been exceptional this season in terms of he's playing behind a pack that's winning the forward battle. And those meters are absolutely massive. We always say, forwards win games, backs decide by how many. And if you've got a platform like Hull FC have got from that forward front six, that makes a huge difference in terms of tiring out your defence, the opposition defence from a starting point, but also creates your spaces out wide for your creative players to do what they do, and then your finishers like Martin to do what he does. So yeah, it's going to be a massive factor tonight, and Castleford will have to go toe-to-toe with this Hull FC pack if they're to have any chance of getting close to them tonight.
Absolutely. And of course, in weekly, everybody went the way of FC. Earl Crabtree has now sent in his predictions. For you non-members that are watching this, Earl Crabtree is a part of our Prediction League 2025. He's got FC 1-8, which I was quite surprised when he sent me them this morning. He's gone FC 1-8. The rest of us went FC 9-17 or 18 plus. Saw it as at least a 2, maybe 3 score win for FC. Nothing's changing my mind on that. When you consider the squads that we've just seen, you look at those meter differences, you look at the form as well of Hull FC. This could be a very long night for Castleford, couldn't it?
It definitely could, and this is where Castleford need to really target this game and really step up. One thing I might be looking at there is the pre-season friendly. I know you can't look too much into friendlies.
Yeah.
That pitch may not suit Hull FC's style of play. When we're talking about Caesar and being expansive, you may also be looking at the Hull KR away fixture, where we know Castleford have got it in them to produce a good performance.
Yeah.
Maybe he thinks they could do that this evening.
Well, look, one thing's for certain, it'll take us all by surprise if they do. We wish Tigers nothing but the very best of luck. We've all got a soft spot for our friends up there in Castleford. But like I say, I think FC will be going into this very, very buoyant, and we'll be looking up, not looking down. No doubt about that whatsoever. Right, let's move our focus now to the game tomorrow night at the LSV. Of course, coming to town, the very, very impressive Wakefield Trinity. Absolutely outstanding. Wakefield have been this season. It's second against 8th, of course. And I think what's interesting here, I mean, you're looking there at the Super League history, 5-4, very close. The last 5 meetings, though, have all gone the way of Leigh Leopards. Wakey's got a great little record there. 2 wins from their opening 5 games, both on the road. That's the thing. Before we go through the rest, Steph, beware of the travelling train.
Absolutely, mate. And they've shot quite a lot of people this season, and I don't think it's the 2 wins that are the most impressive. I think it's how competitive and how close they've been. When you look on the league table points difference, how close they are to being, that 0, which is probably the benchmark.
It's
for
-10, mate. They're
-10. So that tells a story in itself. And obviously, we saw what they did at Warrington away, and I know Warrington were missing a few players in that game, but that was a fantastic performance away from home again. So one thing we know about Wakefield is that they can travel well, and they'll be targeting this one based on Leigh's last performance against Hull KR as another potential away victory.
Well, we'll be hearing from Adrian Lamb in a moment, who addressed that very thing. But before we do, let's carry on going through these very tight. Again, very impressive. You consider that Leigh Leopards are top, second to top of Super League. Of course, got a bit of a pasting at the weekend. On the score sheet, for those who watched the game, it was a convincing win. It was I wouldn't say dominating. It was just a really good, clinical attacking game that KR put up against Leigh, and Leigh had no answer to it. Quite simply, they were well beaten, albeit there was periods in the game where you could see there's not an awful lot between them. And Leigh, of course, we know have got a lot of cap space and will be looking to strengthen their squad over the coming weeks. And again, something that we'll be hearing from Adrian Lamb in a few moments in time. And where I'm going with this, Steph, is the fact that you're looking at a Leigh Leopard side that are sitting second in Super League, and rightly so. And then you look at try scored, 1 in it. That tells you that Wakey Trinity, they really are putting some blows on teams, aren't they? They're competitive.
Absolutely, mate. They've been uber competitive, I would say, this season. And I don't think there's a team in Super League that will relish playing Wakefield at the moment. The biggest question with Wakefield is going to be, the squad. And when this injury starts hit, we've already seen that with Max Jowett, obviously out now. But the good thing for them is they've had Rourke, who's come in and played really well in the last game as a replacement. So yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting viewing on Friday night, this one, and hopefully for fans of Super League, it's going to be a very competitive game.
Well, I mean, again, look at the tackle efficiency. Wakey there, good 2.3% stronger than the Leopards, which again is why Wakey are respected this year and why they've only got a -10. They are doing very good work in those defensive areas. They're keeping in the grind. And, on another day, and again, we'll hear from Darryl Powell in a moment, on another day against FC, they could have won it. Those 2 offside kicks, they were offside, they were rightly chalked off. But if they go in their way at that point, Wakefield were very much in control of the game. Could have got that far ahead that FC, couldn't have come back. But of course, that's all ifs and buts. What you have to admire is that FC stayed in the grind and got the job done. Very similar in terms of kicking efficiency and penalties going the way of Wakey, 27-23. Let's listen now to Adrian Lamb. These are two. This is a really good bit of press conference in here, courtesy of Wakefield Trinity and Leigh Leopards Online. Let's got the best of their press conferences. Here it comes.
I think it's always difficult to go away to a top 4 team and win and play well. So young in the journey of this new group, but to go there and be dominated like we did was probably the biggest lesson. So you think you're going all right until you turn up at an away game, and a lot of things we didn't get right there. I felt that when we didn't win the toss, and there was a massive win there. If you don't get the start that you want, it can turn awful really quickly, which it did, and then the last 10 minutes of that first half there, even though we were down by 10-0 with 6 minutes to go, that was going to be okay going into half-time with that breeze behind us. But we allowed 2 easy tries, cheap easy tries in the last 6 minutes just to blow the score out and literally knock the confidence a little bit of the players. So I know they only scored 1 try in the second half, but that's what you're expecting when you're into those wins. So there's a lot of lessons there to be learnt. I thought we with a bit of pressure, we fell away from the identity of us as a team. I thought our leaders didn't step up. I thought our spine took a backward step. So there's a lot to learn from that, and hopefully, like I said, that we're going to go through that at different times of the year when you've got so many new players. But hopefully, the next time we're in that situation, that we can just get a grip of it a little bit sooner and understand that through our leaders.
If that try had have stood, Josh, would it have been one of your best ever?
Yeah, I think so, because of how far out it was. But yeah, I sort of made a bit of a name for myself last year from going and scoring a few tries similar to that. And it's a skill that I've got in my game, and I want to just keep improving. But yeah, I think it'd have been up there.
So what's the answer? Just take a step back,
Yeah,
a metre or so.
It's simple, innit? Just stay on side. Yeah, I think obviously playing with Ollie, it was the first time that we'd sort of played together as well, and we just need to sort of learn and get them combinations going. And yeah, I think we'll both learn from it. And yeah, I'll just try and get my timing right off him next time.
How did it feel making your first start, walking out? You obviously played in the KR game before, but walking out with the starting team, fireworks, flame bins. How did that all feel?
Yeah, it was class. Obviously, it's a great atmosphere down here. Obviously, I've been sat in the stands for the last few weeks previous to that. So
that's disappointing. That's one of his key skills. He can go and catch balls from sort of positions that very few players can. Really, it's a decent skill that that Josh has got. Yeah, just needed to be on side, needed to time, as did Tom, an extra metre back for both of those, and I think we're winning the game. So obviously it's pretty tough to take when you put the kick on the money and we just get our timing wrong. But look, that's in the past now. I think we're learning lessons every week, and there's another one there for us that if we get right, then we know we'll be improving.
I didn't think about that, but that's a really good touch, and a band that we all follow and love here as well. So there'd be nothing better than playing here tomorrow night in front of a packed stadium, and with them playing there, it's going to be entertaining for everyone. But for me, I've got to try and put all that aside and make sure that we get back to our winning ways. Like I said, Wakefield have been real consistent with their performance this year. They're a win away from third or fourth spot, so they're going to be pushing hard for that, and we're also got to I'm holding players accountable to be better than what we were last week.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I don't think it means anything, does it? Really, Leigh came up and did a pretty good job. They got the recruitment right, and they went from 1895 Cup winners to Challenge Cup winners. So that's a fair effort. That we feel like we've got our recruitment right. We could do with a bit of luck from an injury perspective, but like you said, we've got depth to get the job done. We've got a couple of tough weeks against the same opposition. That in itself, it creates different kinds of challenges, as we've already spoke about. And I just think whatever the comparisons, I don't really matter to us with our feet on the grass. We've just got to get on with it and be our best, and we just be our own version of ourselves and not somebody else. So. Yeah, looking forward to these couple of weeks. I think it's a great challenge for both teams, really, to get the best out of the teams and see who can sort of strategically come out top in both the games. So it's quite intriguing.
Look, I think there's always names that are going to come up in the media in regards to this area, and I'm okay with that. Because we are in a position to buy and purchase and recruit, and we're pretty excited about that. But we don't want to be in a rush with it as well. Jake Clifford is a quality player, but we are looking at 3 or 4 different halves. We're looking at probably total of 10 different players to get the best 2 or 3 out of that. We'll make those decisions as we progress through the season. But right now, I'm really happy with the squad. Obviously disappointed on the weekend's game and our standards. Those players have got an opportunity to respond.
So there you go. Really interesting press conferences there from both. Let's try and unpack that before we go into the squads. First of all, Darryl Powell being complimentary to Leigh, accepting the comparisons to Leigh. But I like the fact that he said, we want to do it our way. That's exactly what he should say, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And there's no point in reinventing the wheel. There's nothing wrong with picking out some good things, what other clubs have done. But also, you've got to have your own identity. And I think Wakefield are bringing that, with their changes they've made to the stadium, which I think are fantastic. It looks so much better than what it used to. Not just the new stand, but also the other areas around the ground. And also on the pitch, they do play a similar type of play, I think, from the team that came up from the Championship in Leigh in 2023. But they've also got some very different players as well who bring in their own unique aspects to it as well, and some quality there, like with Tom Johnston as well on the wings.
He's getting better, Johnston. He had a much better game at the weekend than he had a few weeks back. Obviously, we saw Josh Rourke there. We're both fans of Josh Rourke. Is there a better player at catching the ball over the shoulder in Super League than Josh Rourke? If there is, showing me, because I think it's and Dal Powell said there, it's a hell of a skill to have, and he executes it time and time again for London. And just one little step too far. He doesn't put that pinky ahead of Mr. Russell. He had another one there to his collection. You must be mindful of that. I mean, Armstrong's been in good form for Leigh, but that's a real genuine threat for the Leopards on Friday night, is that kick from him. And the fact that probably Russell will stay in, trim and not back. So getting to know you, familiarity, we've got to remember that was Ollie Russell's first proper start as well. So the more they play together, the more execution like that will come off, and that's a concern, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think if you look at Leigh defensively, what a lot of teams haven't done yet, which I think is a bit of a weak point for Leigh, is an attacking kick for someone like Josh Rourke to go up and challenge. Maya Hanley's not the tallest, Keenan Brand's not the tallest. So this is an opportunity I see for Wakefield from an attacking situation where they could really utilise Rourke's skill set.
He'll want to be better, William Myler, no doubt about that whatsoever. And of course, it'd be wrong of us not to mention Jake Clifford. Of course, his name came out of the mouth there of Adrian Lamb in his press conference. But what was interesting and must be exciting for Leigh fans out there, he was talking about 10 players that they're looking at. And it must be like being in one of those lovely... You remember when you were a kid and you went into a sweet shop and all those lovely little rows of tins of all the sweets, and you had a quarter of this and a quarter of that. That's Adrian Lamb, Chris Chester at the minute. They've got bags of sweets all in front of him. Which ones did he want? Clifford, a lot of criticism in terms of the kicking game of Leigh. I mean, you yourself have mentioned it's probably one of your Achilles heels. I think O'Brien does his best, but and he's a good player, he's Gareth O'Brien. But if you want to be a championship winning side, no disrespect to Gareth, but you're going to need a quality half, dare I say, in the mould of Harry Smith, Mark Sneed, players that can control a game. Caesar, who's doing it for FC this year. Those are the type of players that you need. Is Clifford in that arena for you?
I think he is. I think a lot of FC fans were not very happy when he left, and I think he's obviously got himself back into the squad there at the Cowboys, hasn't he? So that's probably another factor that's just happened in the last couple of weeks, that he's actually getting in there. So whether that makes a difference now to those conversations, but yeah, I think most Leigh fans would recognise our attacking kicking and positional kicking aren't the best. I don't think we've had that many dropouts going for us this season. So last play options, things like that. I just think that Lamb, if he had the pressure taken off him from that respect, will improve his game. A bit like where we've got Sneed and Williams at the moment at Warrington. It allows the yin to the yang kind of thing, and allows the other halfback to do what they do best. So yeah, it's definitely one that Leigh should be looking at, and very interested in, especially as he's talking about bringing in 2 or 3 players there, not just one.
Very exciting. The Rosie to the gym, or whatever way you want to say it. Good afternoon to Jake, Andy, Laugh Out Loud. He's in the chat. First time we've seen Jake. We're hoping you're enjoying this little view into the Captain's Run. Our members get this every Thursday. It's the best way to warm up for the weekend's action. And we hope you're enjoying it, Jake. Jake, of course, we're talking about another Jake and Mr. Clifford, aren't we? Outstanding stuff. Right, let's take a look at these two sides then, side by side. And the big bonus for Leigh, whether they play or not, is another question. But the fact that Frankie Holton, their top tackler in 2024 on the left edge, that would really shore up their defence, no question about it. And of course, Robbie Mulhern, who I think they have been missing in terms of that punching power down the middle. We saw what Wakefield did to Warrington at the Halliwell Jones. They absolutely bullied Warrington down the middle. We know they're capable of doing that at Trinity. So to have those two back if they play, Steph, that is vitally important going up against this Wakey team that at this moment in time are playing some wonderful rugby league.
Absolutely, mate. And obviously Mulhern's go forward and meters made, and Frankie Holton's tackling, top tackler for the Leopards last season. 2 massive parts, what have been missing for the last couple of weeks. Both players took part in the captain's run today, so it'll be very interesting to see whether they actually feature for the game or if that was just to get them back into the swing of things. But very encouraging if they have taken part in captain's run, that they're either nearly here or they're ready.
Well, Corey Hall, as you can see there, misses out for Wakefield Trinity. Robbie Mulhern, if he does play, it's his 250th career appearance tomorrow night. So congratulations to Robbie for that. Gareth O'Brien is just 2 points away from 1,500 points in his career. That would be a great feat for him. And Matty Russell, if he plays tomorrow night for Wakefield Trinity, it will be his 150th Super League performance. So congratulations to those guys if they manage to hit those milestones. Like I say, I think there's some intriguing battles between these two. I mean, in terms of the predictions for this one, quite a lot going the way of Leigh. I don't think none of us actually went the way of Wakey, which was quite a surprise. But we all saw it very, very close, 1-8. Nobody. I think Greg went 9-17. Leigh, the members did as well, but the rest of us were going 1-8. And actually, if you look at, I like to pull the odd stat out. If you look at the for and against, we've already mentioned that Wakefield are -10. Leigh this year have scored 16.2 on average and conceded 13.6. Wakefield have scored 14.8, which matches quite nice to Leigh's concede, and have conceded 16.8, which again aligns to Leigh's scoring. So all roads point to a 1-8. It could go either way, but I found that really interesting that when you break it down per game, both the attack and defense of these two teams, it just segues perfectly into a 1-8. I mean, anything can happen on the night. It might be a load of nonsense, but I thought you quite enjoyed that, Steph.
Yeah, it's it reflects what we were talking about earlier, isn't it, in terms of how competitive both these sides have been, apart from Leigh's blowout last week against a very, very good KR side. Both sides have been pretty decent defensively and also got over the line a few times as well. So yeah, and don't forget as well for Leigh, 2 of those games against Wigan and KR didn't score a try. So those points 4 were in just 3 games, not 5. Absolutely. So yeah, but no, definitely, it's everything with this game, from performance to stats to everything, tells you it's going to be a really close encounter at the Sports Village, and one that's going to be hopefully lit up with all the laser beams beforehand.
Well, absolutely. And Mr. Ellis is one. If you've got any Wakefield Trinity fans watching this particular edition of Captain's Run, Mr. Ellis himself will be a guest on In Conversation this season. He's promised me that. Also, Darryl Powell will be joining us at some point during the season. And Gareth O'Brien is still scheduled to sit down with myself for the Leigh Leopards. And we will be looking at getting even more Leigh Leopards between now and the end of the season. And I would expect at some point, Derek will rear his head and will want to be a part of Super League Raw for his 3rd outing. He's been here, of course, twice already. Right, there were so many great battles here. You could have picked Armstrong and Raw. You could have picked Pratt and New. And I have to say, I think it's a big test for anybody coming up against Tessie New. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. But the one I'm going for is this one. I think this is I think we're seeing 2 brilliant 13s on Friday night. Jay Pitts for me doesn't get the respect he deserves. We know that Isaac Liu is a Rolls Royce of a 13. He's been it, done it, and he's got the t-shirt. And I think that when you actually look and compare and contrast, Jay Pitts, somebody who has not got the background of Liu, who's not got the awards in his cabinet that Liu has. He doesn't half stack up well. I mean, look at the tackle efficiency there, 97.3%. That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible from Jay Pitts. He was missing, of course, I think it was round 4, but then came back. But he's been absolutely outstanding this season. I don't think now, I mean, you can see the bus going the way of Leo, and I think his size and stature, you won't be too surprised about that. But again, the carries, both going through very, very similar work. Yes, Leo makes more meters, but I think that shows us we've got 2 really good 13s on the field, both with their own skill sets. And I think that graphic shows just why Jay Pitts within his own dressing room is as respected as he is. He's a very, very good number 13.
Yeah, he is. He's outstanding. And two completely different 13s for me. Yeah. I think Pitts is more of a defensive, down the middle, deals a lot with the big prop forwards, puts all that work in defence, but also has got the ability to offload, look for opportunities. But Leo's more of an attacking 13, I would say. He does his work in defence, but I think the busts there are like the difference, but also his offloading game and the ability to make a bit of space for the other players around him. He does make quite a lot of meters as well. He's very good at yards after tackle as well. So that's mainly Leigh's skill set. So it'll be interesting to see which one of these 13 is going to come out on top on Friday.
They'll have a bearing on the game, no doubt about it. But yeah, beware of the Trin. They're very, very good on the road. Right, let's now move across to the Halliwell Jones Stadium. And congratulations to Aidan Simpson, Simo, to the membership. He won the 2 tickets to join us at the Warrington Wolves against the Rhinos this Friday. A benefit of being a member here at Super League Raw. Tickets are always given away. I think we've got a Hull FC, Hull KR derby ticket that's been donated by a member as well. I just need to finalise that, but I mean, you can't get into that game for love of money, and one of our members has got a spare and he's donating it to Super League Raw to give away to one lucky fan who maybe has been unfortunate not to be in attendance for that game, Hull FC against KR in the Challenge Cup. So keep your eyes peeled on that. We will be announcing that and getting into a bit of that on Weekly on Tuesday. But anyway, great to see Simo. It will be great to see Simo on Friday, coming all the way from Castleford. Not even a Warrington or Leeds fan. That is what our community is all about. People who just love rugby league. Come and join us. You will not regret it. Right. These two normally deliver, Steph. They normally deliver some great games over the years. Leeds, of course, with the golden generation, you wouldn't expect them not to have a better record against Warrington in the Super League era. They have that 40-29. But the last 3 meetings have gone the way of the last 3 meetings. Wyatt have won 3 of the last 5, which is to their credit. They've had a draw over the years as well, these two sides. Currently, I think it's fair to say, I should say, the record exactly the same. Both won last time out against very good opposition. Of course, Warrington against Saints, Leeds against Wigan, that nobody had them down there. The tries couldn't be closer. The tackle efficiency close. Better conversion percentage for the Wire, and penalties very, very close indeed. Before I bring you in, here's an interesting stat for you. Warrington's Matt Duffy has scored tries for the Warrington Wolves against the Rhinos in the last 4 meetings. The last 4 meetings, he scored 1. Then he scored 1, then he scored 2, and last year, of course, at Magic, he scored a hat-trick on 1 leg. So I don't know who you've done for your try scorers.
I was going to say, you could have told me that stat before I picked that.
I don't know who you've done for your try scorers. We'll have a look at that in a moment. But Matt Duffy, he's got a great record against the Leeds Rhinos.
He has. He definitely has. And was one of those at Magic?
3. He got a hat-trick at Magic.
Hat-trick at Magic, yeah. I remember he had a great game there.
He did.
Yeah, he's a big factor for the things that Warrington do well. Matt Duffy's normally there or thereabouts if Warrington are on it. So he's going to be a big player in this one. And also Jake Connor on the other side, coming off the back of a brilliant performance, showing everybody what the Jake Connor we know he can be. So yeah, 2 sides coming off fantastic victories. It's going to be a brilliant game. It's going to be the 5,000th game in Super League, which I think is brilliant for these 2 clubs to be represented for that milestone. And hopefully Warrington do something to celebrate that, which I'm sure they will.
Well, absolutely. Let's hope they do. I mean, I don't think it's going to be as grand as what's going to be going on at the Leigh Sports Village, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. In terms of Sam Burgess, he doesn't do. I mean, I have to say, I think Warrington fans are probably a little bit aggrieved by this. For whatever reason, Sam Burgess decides to only do his press conferences behind closed doors. We get a bit of footage sometimes post-match, but certainly his pre-match press conferences, he tends to do them behind closed doors. We have took a few snippets out of what he said. He's saying that, they've only beaten Saints. They can't fall in love with themselves. They've got to keep things going, as you can see there on the screen. He gave credit to Leeds. He thought they were brilliant last week, as I think we all did. They've had some tight losses as well. So he's expecting the very, very best of Leeds. We've got to think that they'll be in a good position, and he's talking about Leeds there coming into this game, and he's expecting them to really stand up in defence this year. So there's no doubt about it. Sam Burgess giving great praise and credit to the Leeds Rhinos. We can now hear, though, from Brad Arthur.
Happy for the team, try and build on those combinations. Also, it's a good job by the staff to make sure we can do that as well. I was happy with the guys that all took the field last week. Still not quite exactly where we want to get to, but, it's early in the season. And, our best football still is a long way away from us where we're at the moment. But, we took a couple of positive steps in the right direction. And, we're looking for a couple more this week. You can see, they've had and the inclusion of Sneed coming into their team, and he's made a difference for them. Just gives them more kick threat, more options in attack. They're powerful forward pack. So the challenge for our forwards is, we had to deal with Saints, and then we had to deal with Wigan, and now we've got to deal with Warrington. So that's a really good challenge physically for our middle.
Big test indeed, it has to be said, for Brad Arthur and the Leeds Rhinos. I don't know where Steph's going to be back in a moment, I'm sure. But these are the two squads. There he is. There are the two squads that have been picked for this game. Some milestones as well in this, not only the 5,000 game in Super League, but should Joe Philbin cross the whitewash and get on the field, it's his 250th career appearance on Friday night. Ash Hanley, who I think we all expect will play, it'll be his 200th in Super League, and Harry Newman will reach 100 in Super League. So a couple of records again will be made by some of these players. Warrington looking good shape. Luke Yates back in the squad, which surprised many. He was expected to be out for a lot longer. Whether he's put in for this game or not will be questionable. Also, you can see there that, Matt Duffy, again, there was concerns over Duffy. Would he play? Would he not? Roderick Ty was another one. Aaron Lindop, Toby King. It appears that, some of these guys may play, may not. Matty Ashton there as well. I can't imagine they've all shrugged off their injuries. So I would expect Warrington maybe not to be at full strength. I think there might be a bit of kidology in there from Sam Burgess. But from a Leeds Rhinos perspective, it pretty much is as good as it gets. And, he was asked in his press conference by Arthur about Frawley. I think the intimation was you could probably expect Leeds to pick the same starting 17 that went out against Wigan. And rightly so. They deserved that. I mean, they having won that game, every one of them that played against Wigan deserved to back up and go out against Warrington at the HJ. And it's going to be interesting to see if Connor can, duplicate, repeat what was a very, very assured performance against Wigan and make sure that he keeps Frawley out in the cold.
Yeah, it's up to him to keep that place now, isn't it? And if he performs like he did against Wigan, that place is his for the season for me. Really, really interesting with both squads there, because both teams haven't got any, edge players really in there. It's all the first team squad pretty much, which is great to see. So we know we're going to get two pretty much full strength sides. Obviously, the only slight concern from Warrington is, has he had to put those players in to make the numbers, or are they actually all returning? If they are, then that should make for a fantastic game at the Halliwell Jones on Friday night.
It's going to be interesting on the right edge. I mean, again, the eagle-eyed might not have seen it, but it's Jake Fuel, it's not Josh. Josh is out. That's his brother Jake that is in the 21-man squad for the Warrington Wolves there. Will it be Jake? I mean, he's been playing pretty well in the reserves, it's got to be said, this season. Or will he decide, like he did at Catalan last year, to put Holroyd on the wing? That's another option that Warrington might deploy in this one, just to keep Roderick Ty in the middle. I think Ty does bring a lot of defensive energy to Warrington when he plays.
Yeah, he does. He's been he's a bit like the Edwin Ipapi from a tackling point of view for Warrington, isn't he? He puts some great shots in, and obviously that makes the centre opposite and the winger think, and even the second rower, when you've got someone like Ty in front of you, who's obviously very capable of putting in a massive hit.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I mean, again, fascinating. Connor, Sneed, going to be interesting in terms of game management in this. Should Ashton play? We know that Matty Ashton's dynamite on the left-hand side. I mean, who wouldn't want to pay money to go and see Matty Ashton play on the left-hand side there for the Warrington Wolves? Some really good, I mean, Morgan Gannon linked with the NRL. I mean, we said a couple of times already this year, it's good to see Morgan Gannon back, and I think we all believe there's a great player in Morgan Gannon. Could he? I think it was the New Zealand Warriors he's been linked with today.
Yes, yeah, he's been linked with them, and obviously we've seen what Nicholson's done at Canberra, and he's a very similar type of player to him for me. So be interesting to see whether he does. I mean, no one would begrudge him having a shot at the NRL, but it does seem to be that they're targeting these younger back rowers, doesn't it, at the moment, the NRL. So I've seen on other programs with regards to agents that's all the Aussies are interested in at the moment. So
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, the more of our back row forwards that go over there and excel, then of course the more they'll be pinching them, and there'll be many more, I'm sure, that'll go over there, which is great for our international squad. You know, and hopefully, you know, with the rumours of maybe you know, this interest from the NRL in terms of Super League, and we're not going to get into that now. We might talk about that in Weekly next week. But if the ties are closer, more money comes into the British game, it's going to be about us retaining more of them in the years to come. In terms of, for me, I'm really looking forward to seeing these two on the same field. I think last season, both of these had stellar seasons. This is last season's stats. Let's just remind ourselves how good 2024 was for Matt Duffy and for Lockie Miller. 17 tries for Duffy, 7 for Miller. The assists couldn't be closer, 19-17. Look at the busts. I mean, again, incredible stats. To do over 200 at fullback's incredible in a season. Duffy got 165. Duffy more of a threat in terms of breaking the line. The carries, they go through so much similar work. We know Duffy was the top meter maker 4-2-3-4 last year. Absolutely incredible fullbacks. They do run great lines in attack. This season, of course, Lockie's only had one game compared to Duffy. But again, there you look at this season, he's played one game. Look at the meters he made. You know, 25 carries, 168 meters. Those are the stats of Duffy. 4 games Duffy has played this year. His glide path is 19 tries, 13 assists, another 162 tackle busts this season, 26 clean breaks, 546 carries, 4,849 meters. So actually at the moment, on the 4 games that he's played, if he plays 26 rounds, if he doesn't pick up any injuries and plays the full 26 rounds, of course he's already missed one, he is on a glide path to outdo many of the stats that he did last year, which is just incredible, really, to back up on what was a brilliant year.
Yeah, and if that's the case, Dave, and he doesn't miss any games and those stats come to fruition, he's going to be in the Man of Steel conversation again. So, you know, Duffy's one of the best players in Super League for me. I really enjoy watching him, and I think he can light up any game that he plays in. From Miller's side of things, I think what that does bring for Leeds is a bit of stability and actually getting players back where they should be playing rather than having to move players about. Which is obviously great for them, because if they can get that stability and they can get the players all playing in the correct positions, I believe, of what I've seen so far, that they could definitely be a threat come playoff time.
It's all about the spine, isn't it? And I think what Miller's done is he's now definitely giving him that option of Connor in that halves. And like I say, as you rightly say, if he carries on playing the way he did against Wigan, he's not going to be moving any time soon. Fantastic stuff. Of course, pretty split. A couple of people fancied Leeds for this one away from home, Greg being one of them. Steph, you went the way of the Rhinos as well, as too did the members. The rest going the way of the Wire. So everybody pretty much split. But again, 1-8 was pretty much the theme. Nobody, I don't think, no, they didn't. Nobody went bigger than 1-8. Everybody expecting a really tough game here at the HJ1. Not to be missed. And of course, our member Simo will be joining us, courtesy of Super League Raw. And you Leeds Rhinos fans, if you're watching, get yourselves down to the Bluebell. If you come into the Warrington Wolves on Friday night, come to the home of Super League Raw, 6 p.m. From 6 p.m, come to the Bluebell, Horse Market Street. Free parking on Golden Square car park from 6 o'clock. Free parking. So if you land at 6 o'clock on the Golden Square car park, multi-story, it's literally a 10-minute walk from the stadium. It's a secure car park. It's free of charge. It takes 2 minutes to walk on the way to the ground to the Bluebell. Come and join us for a drink. Let's have a drink together. Let's have a good chat. Come and join the Super League Raw community. We can all walk down to the ground together in unison, because of course that's what the Rugby League family does. And let's go and watch a great game of Rugby League at the HJ this Friday night, kickoff 8 p.m. Right now we move over to Perpignan as the Saints, off the back of that loss to the Warrington Wolves, go to the Catalan Dragons, who got a very soggy win indeed against the Castleford Tigers at the weekend. Well, here we go. I mean, look at this. Super League, pretty tight, has to be said. You know, that's a good record Catalan have got against Saints overall, let alone, you know, 4 out of the last 5 they've won. Quite remarkable, really, the form of Catalan over the Saints. And if you look at it, Saints are coming into this off the back of 2 losses. The Dragons are coming on the back of 2 wins. Quite remarkable. Try scored, of course, that screwed a little bit because of the the Salford game earlier in the campaign. But the defence is very, very tight. Both of them struggling with kicking, which is surprising from a Saints perspective where Percival is concerned. More penalties going the way of the Catalan Dragons. Last season, of course, it was 1-1. Saints in round 13 beating the Dragons at the Totally Wicked 24-12. Before that, of course, Catalan were on a 4-game winning streak. One of those, of course, being that famous playoff game where Tompkins scored to get Catalan to the grand final in 2023. Yes, it's a good record, isn't it?
It is. It's a very good record, and it's interesting how the way Catalan started the season and Saints started the season, now they've both kind of coming together and then going the other way. So I think it's going to be a massive game for St Helens. This in terms of they will not want to go 3 losses on the bounce. Obviously, no disgrace with the Warrington performance. It was a very good game and could have gone either way at some points. Very different game for Catalan in the south of France from the monsoon at the Jungle last week. But they took a lot of confidence from those recent victories. I think the main thing from a Catalan point of view is those penalties. If they give Saints a chance, Saints are going to take it. It's as simple as that. So territory and penalties are going to be a massive part of this game for me. Either side could win this. It's just going to be these fine margins on who wins those little battles. And I think it's going to be really interesting in terms of the forwards as well. I think they match up really, really well in terms of forward size and efficiency and also tackling as well. So they could nullify each other in those areas, which will make it the outside backs who maybe decide who wins this game.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear now from Paul Wellington, Remy Smith ahead of this one.
Yeah, they do. It's a game that obviously we've got Eamon O'Carroll there. He's been in and spent time 4 years in the south of France, and he knows what this fixture means to him. So that's not lost on us. We obviously have to cope with different things, the demands of travel, but it's a wonderful opportunity for us to go to a place that we've historically not had the best results. So it's a great challenge for us to go there and put in a strong performance and to get a good win, because we feel that we're a team that's moving in the right direction, and we're looking forward to obviously this huge challenge on the weekend.
It's been building that type of win, and that type of win under that kind of conditions as it was in Castleford, raining very heavy. But I thought the boys did really well. We worked hard for each other and eventually got over the line a couple of times. But it definitely is helps definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a big match. It's St Helens. They're known for many years now being one of the best clubs in the Super League. So it's going to be a big challenge for us. But I feel like I said before, we've been building the last couple of weeks, and I'm feeling pretty confident going into this game. It's going to be a battle. But if we can put our best foot forward, I'll give ourselves the best chance to win this week.
It's something we've spoke about as a team, because the reality is it hasn't been a happy hunting ground for us. So what we need to do is have a look at that, have a discussion around the reasons why, and what can we do differently this time to make sure that we get a different result. So those discussions have taken place as a staff. We've communicated with the players there, and we take on the challenge of the weekend. We want to go there, we want to perform well, and we want to we remove any excuses really that comes with a trip to the south of France. It's a great opportunity for us to go there, perform, and hopefully get a good result.
So there you go, Paul Wellens talking, of course, massive game. You do feel this is a big game for Paul Wellens and for Saints. I think if there was to go 3 losses from 3, the jungle drums would be proper being hit, certainly on social media. I think there's no doubt about that whatsoever. I think the surprise for me, and he didn't mention any injuries to Curtis Sivonen, it's Curtis Sivonen who's dropped out for Joe Batchelor. I'm going to be honest with you. If that's not injury, it has to be, because he has to be in the 21-man squad. So that has to be an injury. Has to be an injury, because there's no way you replace Joe Batchelor for Curtis Sivonen. You just don't do that. In terms of Steve McNamara, again, they're in great fettle. Theo Farge back. You'd expect, did Aspiro Boucher do enough in those conditions at Castleford to keep Farge out? Possibly not. I would say, albeit the young man did very, very well indeed. No Tarek Sims still. But apart from that, they are pretty much now at full strength are the Catalan Dragons. Before I bring Steph in, again, some really good milestones here. Tommy Makinson, he's 5 points off, making 1,500 career points. Mark Percival, if he starts, he's going to be 250 appearances for Saints, which is a great effort. Matt Whitley would be 200 Super League appearances, and Jack Wellesby 150 appearances for Saints at his tender years. If he stayed at Saints, he'd possibly be challenging for one of the highest ever appearances if he stayed there for his entire career. 150 at his age, that's a great effort. Two good squads. Of these two, who's got the most questions to answer?
Well, you'd have to say, well,
it's a good question, isn't it?
It is. It's difficult because I don't think Saints are playing badly. I don't think they played badly against Warrington. It's just the losses, isn't it? The factor for them. Whereas Catalan, we've been very critical of them early doors in the season, but putting a couple of good performances now themselves to show what they're actually made of. I think the thing that excites me in this one, and the reason why I'll be tuning in on Saturday, is Pangai Jr. versus Alex Walmsley.
Yeah,
that's going to be a monster battle up the middle. And if Saints are going to win this one, I think Alex has been probably the standout player for Saints this season, and he's going to have to stand up against what is a very physical Catalan's pack. I think they'll miss Sims from a Catalan point of view. He's obviously a big loss for them in that middle. No more so than his ferocious hits. But yeah, I'm sure the ground will be shaking at the Stade Brutus when we get Alex Walmsley running into Pangai Jr.
Well, I think Walmsley will line him up. That's what he tends to do. I remember, whenever he comes up against any player that people give kudos to, when Luke Thompson returned at Wigan, Paul Vaughan at Warrington, JWH, I bet you can't wait for that. We saw that. And then, of course, now this one, Pangai Jr., he'll line him up. He'll want to get in his face pretty early. And, Alex Walmsley still considers Super League to be his yard, and he'll want to certainly put a marker down there. And who's to say he wouldn't do that? The form guide says Catalan, for whatever reason, have got a bit of a hoodoo over Saints. And Saints won't... Saints will have to work very, very hard to come away from the south of France with a win. And for me, at the moment, because they've been there and they've done it, I think for me, more questions are over Saints. The Catalan haven't been there and done it. These Saints players have. The likes of Johnny Lomax, who I thought was very off colour, has been off colour for most of the season. I think Percival and Wellesby have been, for me, I'd put them in the bracket of Walmsley as well. I think those three have been very, very good. Daz Clark, not a Daz Clark start. Morgan Knowles as well. Knowles as well. I think that would be the four. Knowles, Wellesby, Percival and Walmsley. I think they can walk off any field with red held high this season. And I'd love to see Noah Stevens get a berth. We mentioned that on Super League Raw Weekly. Right, where am I going for the little battle for you to keep an eye out on this one? Are we enjoying the captain's run? Like I say, this will be back to members only for round number 7. So if you're enjoying the captain's run, you really do need to consider becoming a member here at Super League Raw going forward. We're not going to be doing this again like this. So like I say, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it on repeat, this is what you're missing. Great analysis. Nobody builds up better to Super League rounds than Super League Raw does. This is where, for me, the smart money is. We know that players, the left edge of an attack normally is the favoured way to go. This, for me, is where the opportunity knocks for the Catalan Dragons. Now, on the top stats, you're thinking, actually, Dave, Bennison's doing well there. He's got a try, he's got an assist. Kotrick hasn't. I've not, again, I don't know if this is on Steph's bets or not, but I'll tell you now, I fancy Kotrick. I really do fancy Nick Kotrick to get his first try in Super League on Saturday. Look at those busts. 37 tackle busts from Nick Kotrick. 4 breaks, 80 carries, 737 metres. Incredible. And he's coming up against a player in John Bennison. I mentioned this on Weekly. This is a massive opportunity. And don't get me wrong, they've got another opportunity with Tommy Mack on the right-hand side. They know all about Tommy Mack and what he can do. He'd love to get a try over his old club. But I just think Nick Kotrick in this is the edge. And I think if they can create space for Kotrick, I'm sorry, but I think he's going to school Bennison. I really do. And I think this is a great opportunity, don't you, Steph?
Yeah, and the other massive thing, what Kotrick has got an advantage is he's got Smith inside him, and I think he's been absolutely outstanding in that sense. Because he can obviously played at the standoff position against Leigh, but gone back to centre now, and I think those two are forming a bit of a partnership. They look really really handy. Kotrick, we always said when the pitches dry up, when things get more warmer, his skill set's going to come more to the fruition, and I think back at the south of France, I haven't picked him as a scorer this week. But maybe I should be picking these after we have these chats. That might help me out a bit. But then we'd be winning, wouldn't we? So we'll be putting that. But no, I mean those stats. Probably a lot of people wouldn't have realised there'd be that much of a gulf between these two players. But you're absolutely right to highlight Benison, and I think a lot of Saints fans would highlight Benison as a potential weak link for them. He's been a solid player for them, but probably because he's being judged on such high standards of what we've had as wing play from St Helens over the years, I don't think that's doing John any favours. But yeah, I think Steve Mack will definitely be looking at getting it to the left-hand side this week and seeing what these boys can do.
Yeah, I think so. I do, especially if Sambo plays on the left, which I'd expect he will retain that position based on the way he played against the Warrington Wolves. I mean, for Benison to prevent Nick Kotrick, I think Kotrick will score, but give me a tackle efficiency that you think that Benison would have to achieve in order to prevent that from happening on the night.
He'd have to be up there in the late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s. He's currently running at 84.6%. And on those stats, he's about to meet perhaps his toughest test of the season. So there you go. That's, again, you don't get that type of analysis anywhere else, folks. Watch out for the left edge of Catalan Dragons' attack. It's going to be very, very interesting indeed. Well done. Fantastic. In terms, just as a reminder, in terms of where people went, again, it was split. A bit of love for St Helens, a bit of love for the Catalan Dragons. Joel Scholes went Saints 9-17. I felt that was a big, big one. Everybody else was 1-8 either way. Joel 9-17 Saints. His position on the league and the fact that he was nil point last week perhaps says nothing to worry about there. Anyway, let's move on at a pace. Only 2 more games to go, starting with this one. And of course, you know, Steph, you saw it firsthand last week how well Hull KR are playing. They're playing some fantastic rugby league football. They go up against the Huddersfield Giants. That's actually, you know, with the losses, of course, 5 losses. Dear God, I mean, you just wouldn't have Adam and Eve. They've been so unlucky with injuries. They really have. The list is long, and we know it's long. History goes the way of KR in the recent history. The try scored is virtually double. Defence, neither here and there in it. Before we get into this, I mean, the stats tell a story. We know about the injuries. Let's hear first from the man that I think we all feel a little bit sorry for, Mr. Luke Robinson.
Yeah, look, Zach Walford's out for an extended period of time was really important to us. So's Clooney, so's Kieran Rush. You know, then when you're Niall Evans, you know, named as 9s and a potential fullback, that you know, when it is your spine, it does makes it very tough. Look, as soon as Penrith are one of the best teams in the world, as soon as they threaten to lose Cleary, that, you know, everyone panics like mad. And you know, you've probably seen in recent history, you know, when Wigan lose Bevan French and Jay Field, they don't look the same team. Still an amazing team, amazing squad. They're all the same team. So when you are missing your spine, it's not just missing the spine. It's building combinations, having some continuity in there. They're the ones that lead you around the park and manage the side. So when you do lose them, it obviously makes it a little bit harder. But it's trying to weigh up whether you can bring somebody in for a limited time, because when you bring players in on loan, you bring a prop in on loan. He pretty much does the same job at nearly every club. Look, he's got to learn the new calls, but his job ultimately doesn't change. When you bring pivots in and spine members in, you ask them to control a team. If that's only going to be for a few weeks, and then you bring them back out, and you got players returning, you've got to weigh up salary cap restrictions. Do we have the capability to bring them in? And if we are going to bring them in, how long are they going to be in for? You know, until somebody returns. So we are always looking. It makes it a little bit more difficult when they are sort of them in them positions. Oh, they're a really good side of KR, so we've got to show a lot more fight than we did against Salford. I thought we looked really good in nearly every game we played for periods. We just haven't been able to consistently do that. We've got to make sure we are consistent this week, and we've got to make sure that 1 to 17 we are our best foot forward in all the effort-based stuff. They're a bit of a juggernaut at the moment. When I watched the St Helens game, they rolled. Saints are a good side this year. We really experienced players. They brought some real good quality lads into the side as well as Saints, but OKR just rolled them. They just rolled down the field. I think, in particular, outside backs are making massive meters. Burgess, but in particular Davis. He's been, he was a really good player at his time at Wigan at Catalan, but he seems to have gone up another level at the moment. He gets them on the front foot and gets them over the advantage line, and they've got a really good pack, and they've got two very good nines. They've got Mickey, who's playing some really good rugby over the last few weeks, showing some real good energy. Then they bring Litton on, who's fast out of dummy half, got a really good kicking game, really skillful. So, look, they've got strength in depth in every position, I think, throughout their squad. So we've got to do a good job. But I think those two key areas that we need to do a good job on, that's controlling the backfield and controlling the nines.
Hey, spare a penny for that man's thoughts. He must be hurting, and the guy just bleeds Huddersfield Giants. It's such a shame. It really, really is. Of course, Ollie Wilson, he didn't feel like, again, a bit of team news. We haven't had the squads yet. Liam Sutcliffe's out. He don't get any better. Liam Sutcliffe's out. Jack Murchie's a doubt in second row. Ollie Wilson, they didn't get. Again, it's just the way they are. It comes back to what Darryl Powell was saying about camera angles. Ollie Wilson's banned for this game. They didn't contest it because when they reviewed the footage, they had no confidence they could get it overturned because the angles and the camera work that they had just basically said they were on a hiding to nothing. So they risked extenuating that ban, so they didn't, which again, terrible position. Wilson's been outstanding from this season. Yeah. They think Tom Burgess will be back. They think Gagai will be back. But just like, I can't remember the guy's name, the commentator in snooker all those years ago when Cliff Thorburn was on the black for the first ever televised 147 break, all I've got to say to Luke Robinson is, good luck, mate.
Yeah, it's ominous. It's probably, next to Wigan, it's probably the worst possible opponent that Huddersfield could come up against. I suppose the main thing what I would be saying is we've nothing to lose, boys. If I was Luke Robinson, and when you have that kind of mindset, then you can become very dangerous. And it's great that they got Burgess back. He will add a bit of grunt down the middle, and Gagai's been great for them at fullback. So all you can hope for is these players slowly start to come back. Having seen OKR firsthand at the weekend and saw what they did to my team, it's looking very ominous, isn't it, for Huddersfield? And I think if they can keep this score respectable, I think that's as good as a win for them. I know that sounds very negative, but I think it's more realistic for Huddersfield. But, stranger things have happened in Super League. It's probably the only thing I would hang a little hope on as a Huddersfield fan. And the games where they have had players, they've looked pretty competitive. It was not so long ago we were saying, no, they've won. If the league was on 40 minutes a game, they would have been top. So they have got that little stat to cling on to as well. Not that that'll bring Luke any comfort.
Well, it's complacency as well. Complacency in sport. We've seen that time and time again. It can come back and it can bite you. We've seen that. Right. Look, I'm just gonna, rather than try and find a way of Huddersfield winning this because I can't find one, I'd rather just pay tribute to this man. Man of Steel back to back. Don't know why it says Trinity All FC. Apologise for that. But yeah, you look at that. It's quite incredible. This 4 appearances this season, 4 tries, 3 assists, 3 breaks, 15 busts, a 40-20, a drop goal, kicked 7 out of 9, 66 tackles, 75. That's the one area of his game the one area of Mikey's game that he has to work on. Apart from this tackle efficiency, everything else, 5 rounds in, that's man of steel form, isn't it?
Absolutely, and who would back against him at this point in the season? He's basically picked up where he left off from last year, and throw into that as well, missing a game and a potential injury that could have seen him out for the season at one point. The fear was. So I think just for the good of Super League, I'm so happy that he didn't get seriously injured and he has been able to come back. It was a privilege to watch him last week. I thought it was a masterclass from Mikey in halfback play, and he brings so much to this KR team. Not more so that the players hang off him, and that's creating space. We saw it with the Tanganoa try. Everyone focused on Mikey, which left a huge hole for him to offload to. Brilliant offload, by the way. Great skill by Mikey there. But he's always there in the right places as well. We saw when the ball went to ground, he just had to pick it up and put it down. He was the player that was there. It's no coincidence. It's not luck. You make your own luck in this game, and Mikey's just a complete workhorse. He never stops during the game, and that's what finds himself in those very positive attacking situations.
Incredible stats. And as you say, it is a privilege to watch players like Mikey Lewis produce that level of consistency and performance. I say, I wish Luke and the Cowbell Army and all of our friends over at Huddersfield nothing but the best of luck. But look, even if it turns out to be a little bit of a drab day for you as home supporters, go and watch Mikey. He's a special player. He is. I mean, if he carries on his development and carries on playing the way he's playing, he's going to be one of those players in 20 years' time that you can say to people, your grandkids, whatever, I watched that lad play, and it was a privilege watching him. He is that good at the moment, is Mikey Lewis. The curtain will come down with this one again. We're not going to go, look, I mean, they're not even taking bets on it. And not. Big win for him against Huddersfield last week. Let's not beat about the bush on that. I mean, that was a right bonus. But look, let's get a bit of perspective here. Yeah, Wigan seldom lose 3 in a row. Of course, in there, they've lost against FC in the Challenge Cup. Very seldom did they lose 3 in a row. If you thought that, just to rubber stamp this, Wigan have won their last 12 against Salford. Last 12. The last time that Salford beat Wigan was 18-14 at home on the 13th of March, 2020. They won the last 7 home games against them. It's just unbelievable. The last away victory against the Warriors, was October 2019. 28 points to 4 and a playoff win. Yeah. Unbelievable. Bevan French has scored tries for the Warriors in the last 3 meetings. It doesn't get any better, does it? The only good thing for Salford that maybe they can celebrate is that Jack Ormonroyd is going to make perhaps his 100th Super League appearance. But Brad O'Neill is expected to return, which is again a right bonus. Of course, Brad getting that really bad injury last year. He's back for Wigan. They're not giving up on field. Albeit I think it might be a week too early for him. Abbas Miski definitely, of course, won't be playing. In one word, can Salford win it?
No.
Fine. So what we'll do is we'll move on because we have been having a little bit of a chat about this man, Bevan French, at fullback. And you know what? It's quite interesting. We said he's wasted at fullback. Our eyes tell us one thing, statistics tell us something else here. So I thought we'd just have a quick look. Peter Gordon saying Salford to beat Wigan. Good lad, Pete, in the chat. The Bevan factor. Fullback, halfback. On the left is his 1 game last week against Leeds at fullback versus his average performance in the other 4 at standoff. It's pretty close, but for me, it's not. The stats deceive a little bit here. For me, they deceive. It's his influence in the middle. It's not necessarily what he does on the ball. It's what you've got to do with him in those central positions as defending teams that create space for others as well. When he's out in the back, it's almost one less thing to worry about. You've just got to consider him on the arch. He's not really in the middle pulling the strings. But it's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be when I put it together, Steph.
Yeah, and they say the stats don't lie. Well, I think in this instance they do.
Yeah,
and I think, like I just said, and you're right to point out, exactly as I've just said for Mikey Lewis, it's not just what that player is doing. It's more the focus that the opposition defence is having to put on that player that then creates opportunity for others. And that's what Bevan is, without having to do anything. That's the influence he has when he's at 6, and it just takes away so much from that attacking threat with the other defenders. That's the biggest influence for me. So he needs his hands on the ball. What it doesn't tell you there is touches, does it? So it doesn't
tell you touches. And I think the interesting thing about the tries and the assists, so that this is broken down per game. So 1.75 tries he either makes or scores when he's at standoff versus the 1. So when you combine that, he is more effective at scoring in the halves as well.
Yeah.
But like we're both saying, it's not. I think when he's in the halves, you've got to contend with him more and consider his skill more when he's in that middle area of the field. And but it was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. When I had the little idea, but let's find something to talk about. I thought that it would be a lot further away than it actually is. But like you say, I think your eyes tell you he's better at standoff.
Yeah, it is, but it's also the other thing is that Field's a great fullback, and when those don't forget that these two players link up, and I think this is the biggest problem for. I mean, it's nice to talk about problems for Wigan, and given how dominant they've been, we can at least pick up one thing. Those two when they're not on the field together does have an impact on Wigan's attacking play. So it's going to be really interesting. I don't think Field will play in this one. I'd be very surprised if Matty Pete risks him in a game that they should be able to win. Whether they move Eckersley to fullback for this one, they might be tempted to do that. Put Bevan back to 6. That's potentially what I would do in this one. I think that they're going to have more than enough to overcome Salford, given Salford's situation. So why not go back to what you know?
100%. I think you've got to put Eckersley at full back for this game. I really, really do. Get Bevan back into the middle. I think that is absolutely the right thing for Matty Pete to do. Pretty much everybody going the way of Wigan. Crabtree going Wigan 9-17. He doesn't see a blowout. I think that's very generous. I think everybody else went 18. Oh no, actually Joel as well, who's actually joined us. S&J Detailing in the chat. Good afternoon to you, matey. Hope you're well. Wigan 9-17 said Joel, but I think the rest of us. Actually, even Greg went 9-17. Wigan. I think 18 plus is the goal. Right, great addition. This is Captain's Run. Before we go, though, we've got a little bet to consider. Let's now pass over to the man himself.
Are you sick and tired of winning your bets every week? Want to contribute to the bookies' Christmas party? The bets to ignore when predicting the score. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Bet Steph.
Yeah, so obviously we went through the handicap betting on Tuesdays weekly, so we'll not go over that one again. But these are my 3 tips for the try scoring anytime accumulator. Bit of a left field one, but obviously scoring in his last 2 games, I've gone for Herman SA to get over the line again for Hull FC. I think this could be a real opportunity to him at the Jungle with Castleford's defence. He'll definitely be getting that white line fever again. So yeah, gone for Big Herman to get over the line against Cass. Tessie New, one of Lee's standout players against KR. There was only a couple, but he was definitely one of them, and he will definitely be looking at targeting that left edge of Wakefield's defence. So gone for Tessie to get over in this game, and Riley Lum. Who I think's been brilliant since he's been in the Leeds squad, obviously taking the place of Sivo. He's looked really, really good in the games I've seen him so far, and be interesting to see if he goes up against Matty Ashton in this game. But I've just got him sneaking over for one in the corner. So Riley Lum's my 3rd pick. So the total accumulator on this one, quite a high one, obviously with Herman SASA in there. So the total odds for this are 33-1.
Fantastic. And yes, as Dawn Kirkby's in the chat. Dawn, look what Davey's wearing. this is yours. It's on its way to you. The Super League Raw baseball caps are out. They're on the website. The members have been asking after those. They are now available to order on our website. Of course, Dawn won hers in the Mastermind Championship. We'll be doing that again in the close season. Just another thing we did here at Super League Raw throughout the winter months. We had all of our members going up against each other in a Mastermind competition. It was won by Basil Kingston. He donated his cap to young Sam Holt, another member, because that's what we do as a community here at Super League Raw. We hope you've enjoyed the captain's run. Do consider becoming a member. Get over to our website. If you're on your mobile phone, when you go on there, the benefits are hidden. You've got to click a little blue arrow and it'll tell you all the benefits. But there's tickets on, tickets up for grabs. It's a brilliant community. It's a 7-day-a-week operation. You will never regret becoming a Super League Raw member. And every Thursday at this time, you get to see the captain's run, the best build-up to the Super League rounds every single week. We unpack it all on a Monday. We take a look back at all the action and again, get into the detail, how games were won and lost. We have a social club on a Wednesday. We've got quiz nights coming up. We've got Super League Raw Live. We've got, it's just fantastic. We're going to the Magic weekend together. So yeah, this is just one of the reasons why you should consider becoming a member for for the equivalent of one latte a month. Just one. You get to become a member at Super League Raw. Ditch the latte. You don't need it anyway. What you need is 7 days a week Rugby League. Come and join the fastest growing community in Rugby League. Sale pitch over. All you've got to do now, do the QR code. If you can't do that, go to www.superleagueraw.com. Go and have a look at our website. Go and have a look at our memberships. And then once you've done that, I hear on the grapevine that Willie Peters' press conference has also just been launched on YouTube. It wasn't launched in time for our show today. So if you want to hear what Uncle Willie wants to say about his team's brilliant win against the Leigh Leopards and going to the Huddersfield Giants this weekend, you can go and do that now. That's available on Hull KR's YouTube channel. All that's left for me to say is thanks everybody for joining us live. If you're not watching us live, well, we hope you've enjoyed the show. And Steph, as always, mate, thanks very much for your company. We will be back for Round Unpacked on Monday. Enjoy your weekend of Rugby League. Bye for now.